Hello everyone, thanks for joining me. Today I'm going to talk specifically about making the decision to pursue a career as a gentle sleep consultant. Make sure you stick around until the end because in this video I'll be explaining what's different about this approach, why there's such a huge need for the gentle sleep movement, and how to approach effective sleep support with gentleness. And if you're serious about supporting families in a way that's gentle and responsive, then click the link below to book a call with one of our team and see if we're a good fit to work together at the Holistic Sleep Coaching Programme. In case this is your first time here, I'm Dr. Lyndsey Hookway, a paediatric nurse and responsive sleep advocate. I'm also the clinical director of the Holistic Sleep Coaching Programme, which has supported more than 500 sleep coaches worldwide, transforming the lives of thousands of families who want and need this type of skilled and specialised responsive sleep support. Holistic sleep support is a specialised form of gentle sleep consulting, and if you want to hear more about the subtle way that it's different, then watch this video here. It's an approach that many of our graduates specifically seek out after hearing time and time again from parents who want sleep support that doesn't conflict with responsive parenting. Graduates like Carla, who trained with us because she was searching for a program that aligned with how she felt about supporting families and her own parenting style. The parents she was working with as a public health nurse felt confused and upset and misled and wanted another way. Working in a gentle and holistic way allowed Carla to make the impact she wanted to and build a business that felt joyful and sustainable. You can hear more about Carla's story by clicking the link below. More and more parents are seeking support with their child's sleep. That's not because more children are necessarily having sleep problems. It's because it's becoming more normal to reach out for help with lots of areas in our lives that we're finding hard. Parenting, and specifically sleep, are major areas that people sometimes struggle with and need information and support to feel like they're hitting their stride and feeling confident. Sleep consultants and coaches work with families, listening to their challenges, providing education and tools, and helping them come up with a plan. Until fairly recently, most parents were only aware of the mainstream approach to sleep, which is usually non-responsive sleep training, often involving leaving babies or children to cry, avoiding eye contact, premature night weaning, and ignoring nighttime child signalling. For the parents who didn't feel comfortable with that, their only option was to ride it out. But in recent years, more and more parents have rejected mainstream non-responsive approaches as they often conflict with parental instincts and are not always compatible with an otherwise responsive and attachment-focused approach to parenting as a whole. Leaving children crying, ignoring their communication, and being robotic is stressful for both parents and children, often disrupts breastfeeding, and doesn't even always work. The parent demand for a third option has given rise to a massive increase in awareness of another approach to sleep, one that neither involves crying it out or waiting it out. Now, gentle is a subjective term. One person's gentle might be another person's harsh, so there is no standard definition of this term. This leaves a lot open to interpretation, and to be honest, it can cause confusion as well. Bear in mind that gentle sleep consulting sits under the broad umbrella of general sleep consulting, and many sleep consultants have variable ideas about what is broadly classified as non-responsive sleep training, what is sleep education, and what is a gentle approach. Some people use sleep training as an umbrella term for any form of sleep support, including gentle sleep support. Other people interpret sleep training as a non-responsive approach only, thanks to the use of the word training, which implies a directive, parent-led style and also suggests that sleep is a skill that can be taught, a concept which is at odds with many of us in the gentle sleep space who know that sleep is simply a feature of the parasympathetic nervous system and does not need to be taught per se. There's some caution required because sometimes sleep trainers using non-responsive approaches will offer so-called gentle sleep training, which again is open to interpretation but may involve controlled crying. They justify this as gentle because the parent returns to check on their crying child every few minutes as opposed to cry it out, where they shut the door and do not return until the morning. Of course, this can lead many parents to choose a sleep support option that they were hoping would be responsive and gentle, only to find it's not really responsive at all. So what is gentle sleep consulting then? Well, this is usually intended to be the general term for an approach that centres responsiveness, values parental instinct, and prioritises infant mental health and attachment. Truly gentle sleep consultants avoid strategies that involve unsupported infant or child crying, developmentally inappropriate suggestions such as premature night weaning, withholding responsiveness or emotional support, or using punishment and rewards. Instead, they tend to listen to parent goals and work out a sustainable way to move towards it in a respectful, age and developmentally appropriate way that maintains connection and doesn't threaten parent-child trust or bonding. This might include looking at aspects of the child's day, their napping rhythm, bedtimes, optimizing sleep hygiene, preparing children for sleep changes, and breaking the sleep transitions into manageable stages. It also involves tailoring the plan to a child's temperament and personality, providing options, and being flexible about timescales. Now, how is this landing for you? Do you feel like you've previously had an unclear picture about what gentle sleep is all about? Or maybe you felt sleep consulting might be back on the table, having previously written it off as either too stressful or not effective. Let me know in the comments. But now the million-dollar question: does it work? I often get asked whether gentle sleep solutions actually work, or are they just about sympathising with how hard it is to be exhausted while making no difference to the sleep situation whatsoever? Well, this is an interesting question. Firstly, it's interesting because we need to define success, and that might look different for each family. Secondly, I don't think we can compare non-responsive sleep training outcomes with gentle sleep consulting outcomes because they're often aiming to achieve different things. And thirdly, because there are a lot of misconceptions about how effective non-responsive sleep training is. So let's break down those three parts. Mainstream sleep training has done a pretty good job of making people believe that all babies should sleep 12 hours straight by 6 months at the latest and have a 2-hour nap in their crib or cot. So if you use that as your success benchmark, many sleep outcomes will fall short. But increasingly, people are realising that these are not universally developmentally appropriate or achievable outcomes. Not all infants and children need the same amount of sleep. Even when you compare children at the same age, there is no empirical evidence that all infants can sleep through without a feed at 6 months, and shorter naps are normal, common, and perfectly adequate for millions of little ones. If you define success by achieving sleep sustainability, improving parental mental health, building parent confidence, reducing the number of wake-ups to a manageable number, reducing the stress around naps and bedtime, then absolutely gentle sleep consulting is effective. The tendency to compare outcomes between sleep approaches continues, sadly, which is problematic as the very philosophy behind the approaches is different. One approach boasts of uninterrupted sleep at any cost, while the other aims for manageable and biologically optimal sleep. The intention behind the approaches is different. One only considers sleep in certain locations and for certain durations as success, while the other accepts that sleep looks and feels different for different people. One approach looks for absolute numbers, while the other explores nuance, feelings, and subjective success. But ultimately, we need to address the elephant in the room, the fact that many parents are just not prepared to achieve sleep at any costs. Many parents would not consider it a success for their child to not wake them in the night, even if they really wanted to. We're talking about parents with a different definition of success here. These parents aren't necessarily looking for 12 hours straight or quick fixes. They're looking for something that is more individualised, subtle, and sustainable. The other reality check here is that despite the widespread belief that non-responsive sleep training works within 3 days, this might not be true. People are often led to believe that it'll be tough going to listen to their little one crying, but 3 days is all it takes. Leaving aside the debate about whether you agree with this in principle, what about the accuracy of that timescale? A recent study by Khan and colleagues in 2023 found that Cry It Out, which is often considered to be the fastest way to improve sleep, took on average 25 days to implement. You heard that right, not 3, 25. And it was almost 10 days before there was even an improvement in sleep. And before you ask, yes, they also compared strategies that involved parental presence. And while this took longer, almost 15 days to see improvement, and took 43 days on average, many parents would consider this absolutely a compromise worth making if it meant they didn't have to ignore their parental instinct to offer comfort to their child who was having a hard time. So what's the take home for you, I wonder? Ultimately, if you want to be a sleep coach, it makes sense to offer a service that feels aligned with your personal philosophy. If you wouldn't try it with your own child, arguably, you shouldn't be offering this as an option to your clients. That said, with no judgment, gentle sleep consulting isn't for everyone, and that's okay. But if you've wanted to get into sleep for a while and have been put off by the idea that you'd have to recommend non-responsive sleep training or else be ineffective, the great news is that neither of those things are true. Gentle sleep solutions are out there, they work well, and what's more, parents are asking for them. So today I've hopefully helped you understand the middle ground between Cry It Out and Wait It Out. There is a growing demand for genuinely gentle sleep support, and maybe you want to be part of it. I'd love to know what your thoughts are and what light bulb moments you've had. Let me know in the comments. Finally, if you're interested in supporting families in not just a gentle way, but with an approach that considers all the wider aspects of sleep, health, relationships, development, and family life, you can book a call with our team to find out more about the Holistic Sleep Coaching Programme. And if you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Speak to you soon.